Good morning again, everyone. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce our featured speaker, Mary Jane Melendez, a double Tommy. She received her undergraduate degree in 2001 and her MBA in 2007. I have the privilege of working with Mary Jane through all the great volunteer programs and events offered by the General Mills Foundation. Most recently, we worked with the foundation to organize a volunteer program for one of our national food service customers to assemble shelf-stable boxes for food insecure communities across the country. Just this week, Mary Jane was officially promoted to Chief Sustainability and Social Impact Officer and President of General Mills Foundation. I think that deserves a round of applause. Mary Jane is responsible for the Foundation's global philanthropic strategy, ensuring core corporate values, best practices, and innovation inform General Mills' nonprofit partnerships, signature philanthropic programs, global grant making, and community and employee engagement programs. Mary Jane serves as a member of the Conference Board's Philanthropy and Engagement Council and the National Council on Foundation's Corporate Advisory Group. In addition to her role leading the foundation, Mary Jane serves on several boards, including the Doherty Family College at St. Thomas. Mary Jane's strategic business leadership was recently recognized by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal as a 2018 40 Under 40 award winner. She was named one of Latino Leader's top Latina executives in corporate America in 2018. Mary Jane and her husband, Peter Laird, live in Golden Valley. Please join me in welcoming Mary Jane Melendez.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I'm humbled to be here this morning in the presence of soon-to-be alumni. Ladies, trust the relationships that have nurtured your purpose to this point. Your friends, your family, mentors, and teachers. Their investment in you was made so that you can invest in the world, workplaces, and relationships before you. If you do so, I am certain you will make a difference. You will advance the common good, and you will make your alma mater justifiably proud. Dr. Sullivan, thank you for the thoughtful and heartfelt invocation. Your words remind us of the need for providence. They also remind us how fortunate we are to have your capable mind and generous heart in service of St. Thomas. Your leadership as the first woman president is an inspiration to us all and a gift to our community. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank Katrina for serving as a capable MC this morning. Thank you for that kind introduction. It gives me great delight that you are at General Mills. We are so fortunate to have you. I hope that you find it as engaging and fulfilling as I have throughout my corporate career. The General will drive and fulfill your purpose and excellence. You may be asking yourself, what does the Chief Sustainability and Social Impact Officer have to say about the power of purpose? My chosen topic for this morning. And if you are, you'll have to wait for just a moment or two, because my journey to purpose began with my family. I am the daughter of a first-generation Mexican father and a Polish French-Canadian mother. My father, Manny Melendez, never had the opportunity to go to college. Instead, he was a Golden Gloves boxer, a coach, and a print shop worker for over 40 years. My father loved collecting antiques. He was always captivated by the story behind the objects he pursued. Clay marbles, St. Paul Winter Carnival buttons, and handcrafted glass bottles in every shape and size. It was the story behind the objects that led him to become a collector, and it was the story of others that led him to be a community organizer and protector. My father died 2 months ago, and in his passing, I have come to appreciate anew his sense of purpose and how it has informed my own. My mother, fortunately, is alive and well. She lives by her own sense of purpose. My mother was the main caregiver for my siblings and I, as well as for the many adults that lived in our home when I was growing up. My parents opened our home to adult foster care, and it was my mom who provided their primary care. Having adults with diminished capacities was a gift in so many ways, though at the time, I didn't always understand it to be so. My mother was and still is the rock and the glue in our family. And despite this, her graduate PhD studies in child psychology, which ended too early before her dissertation, her extraordinary commitment to others was and remains her purpose and has informed my own. My elementary and high school years, looking back, were pretty unremarkable. I didn't act in any plays, I didn't leave the state of Minnesota, and believe me, I was not an influencer of any kind, and still am not. Rather, I worked in and out of school, clapping erasers to reduce my grade school tuition, working at a flower shop starting at the age of 15 so I could earn enough money to pay for driver's ed. And when it came to the prospect of college, I wasn't sure how to proceed. My parents were already making great sacrifices. Thanks to the encouragement of a high school counselor and my desire to grow and sense that I could do more, I made applications to 3 schools. When at last all 3 of those invitations came, I finally confronted the question looming quietly all along. How was the Melendez going to pay for college? I remember spending 8 weekends in a row at the James J. Hill Library, learning about financial assistance and filling out college scholarships and applications. Fortunately, St. Thomas was willing to make an investment in me, and together with working 40 hours a week during my St. Thomas years, we made it work and I graduated in 3.5 years. You may have missed all of that power of purpose in that short history of my high school and college years. My parents, my teachers, my employers at the physical plant here at St. Thomas and Flower Shop, and of course my teachers at St. Thomas. Throughout, there was a clear sense of purpose, a commitment to the good of others, and it has informed my own. I arrived at General Mills a bit by mistake. During my junior year at St. Thomas, I attended what I thought to be an internship fair, having signed up for a slot with General Mills. Either I misread the announcement or Career Services mislabeled the opportunity, but at the end of the interview, when I was asked if I had any questions, I responded, "What are the dates of the internship? I have summer school." Anne-Marie Hoffman, the interviewer from General Mills, who is also a double Tommy and still at General Mills today, slowly took off her glasses and responded, "I'm not interviewing for internships. I'm interviewing for full-time positions." Well, I thought as my face turned red and I wanted to crawl under the table, cross General Mills off the list. But then, a week later, I was invited for a full-day interview at General Mills, and the rest is history. What was not a mistake was my seeking out General Mills employers as an employer all those years ago. I had done my homework on the reputation of several Twin Cities-based companies, and I had a strong conviction to work for one that understood the power of purpose. Aside from the food I love, including Cheerios and Haagen-Dazs ice cream, I was drawn to the company's purpose, its values, its expectations of its leaders, and the way it gave back to communities. General Mills began as a flour milling company on the banks of the Mississippi River in 1866, before the city of Minneapolis was a city. At the beginning, General Mills was called the Washburn-Crosby Company, named for its founders. Most people don't know that in 1924, the company acquired a failing Twin Cities radio station, WLAG, and renamed it WCCO for Washburn-Crosby Company. A devastating but poignant event sparked a legacy of purpose at General Mills that remains today. A legacy that has been built over more than 150 years of putting people first, of treating the world with care, and of doing what is right. The evening of May 2nd, 1878, at the Washburn A Mill in Minneapolis began as any other. But around 7 p.m., flour dust in the air ignited and the mill exploded. The blast blew the roof off of the mill, leveled the surrounding mills, and engulfed several city blocks in flames. Sadly, the massive explosion killed 18 workers and left several children orphaned. The ruins of this mill still stands today, just upriver from the Guthrie Theater. In response to this tragedy, Cadwallader Washburn, the founder of General Mills, established a fund to support the bereaved families and created an orphanage to care for the children who had lost their parents in that terrible explosion. The request that Cadwallader Washburn made at that time in 1878 of $350,000 in today's dollars would equate to over $37 million. From his purpose, the Washburn Orphanage, which provided care for thousands of children during its first 60 years, evolved to provide mental health services for children. Today, the Washburn Center for Children is the leading resource in Minnesota for children with social, emotional, or behavioral problems. I started at General Mills as a customer service specialist in sales assigned to the Walmart account. My job was managing inventory, ensuring that Walmart was never out of stock and that their inventory was as low as possible. While I was, considering my background and experience, very grateful to be at General Mills, the desire to grow and to do more became ever stronger within. I joined General Mills Volunteer Council. I organized food drives, volunteered at Catholic Charities in the Crisis Nursery, all in an effort to fulfill that sense of purpose. Throughout my time in sales, I shared with every one of my managers that I wanted to work in the General Mills Foundation. For nearly 4 years, every career advancement conversation that I had centered on the foundation. My managers thought my aspirations were really cute. In a company of 38,000 employees and only 7 highly coveted positions in the foundation, they politely advised that my chances were slim to none. Then one afternoon, I was working on my IDP, my individual development plan, in preparation for a career discussion with my manager. I only wanted one job, and that was a job in the foundation. I decided to peruse the current internal job posting to see if anything else could spark an interest in me. Lo and behold, for the first time in nearly a decade, the foundation was hiring. After the most intense and competitive interview process I've ever experienced, I was offered a job as the program and operations manager. You can't begin to imagine my happiness and excitement about this. But not everyone was happy. My manager in sales at the time was not happy to be losing a team member to philanthropy. In fact, he told me that I was making a big mistake. His exact words to me was that I was killing my career path. I think about that manager every now and then. I reflect and think about the importance of knowing who you are, knowing what you want to do, and how powerful purpose is in your life. I learned to trust that still, small voice within that said, "You can do it. And if you don't try, you will live your entire life wondering, what if?" After all, what was there to lose? I've had a wonderful time in the foundation. In fact, I don't even call it work. I am blessed to get up in the morning and go to a place filled with smart, driven, talented people who are also nice, good human beings. Though I've worked in the foundation for nearly 15 years, not that old yet, it wasn't until I moved into the role of executive director that I realized that I learned the power of purpose. I stepped into my role at a time when our business was very challenged. We had just reduced the size of our workforce as well as our charitable budgets. The foundation had to demonstrate our relevance in a challenging business environment, and we had to do it fast. We were also seeing a decline in our volunteer engagements because employees were just too busy with their day-to-day work. In addition, we had a mandate to extend the philanthropic reach of the company beyond our world headquarters to more than 60 other General Mills communities around the world. Over the course of 3 years, we revolutionized General Mills philanthropy. We moved from being a generous, local grant maker focused on community goodwill to being an investor focused on global, food-centered philanthropy that drives value for General Mills, for our communities, and for our planet. Today, the General Mills Foundation directs investments within 3 global focus areas: increasing food security, advancing sustainable agriculture, and strengthening our hometown communities. Within food security, we alleviate hunger by providing nourishing meals to millions of at-risk youth all around the world. In 2018, General Mills provided 140 million meals to students. In Brazil alone, we provide daily school meals to more than 60,000 underserved youth. Within the first 3 months of this program, we saw anemia rates drop by 66% across the student base. Purpose is powerful. We're focused on food rescue because of the dire food waste problem on our planet. Do you know that 1/3 of the food made for human consumption ends up in a landfill, while 820 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from? Do you know that if food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions on the planet behind China and the US? When we created our new strategy, we crafted ambitions that we wanted to achieve by the year 2020. In 2017, we set what we thought would be a bold ambition to rescue 1 billion pounds of food from the waste stream. In the last 12 months alone, our investments rescued 4.2 billion pounds of food from landfills, turned that into 3.4 billion meals for hungry children and families, and avoided more than 2 billion pounds of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. Purpose is powerful. Within sustainable agriculture, we are focused on water, healthy soil, strong ecosystems, and a stable climate. Water is essential for life, for drinking, for sanitation, and to grow food. Agriculture uses 70% of the world's fresh water. This underscores the leadership role that General Mills and other food companies must take to address water stewardship. We're investing to activate water stewardship plans in our most material and at-risk watersheds in our global value chain by 2025. More than 99% of our food comes from the soil, yet most people don't know that because of how degraded our soils are, we have less than 60 years or 60 harvests left. Just take a moment to think about that. How are you going to feed your kids? We have to change. That's why we're investing to improve the health and soil, to regenerate and advance regenerative agriculture practices on farms. Healthy soils sequester carbon. They hold more water, they need less fertilizer, and they improve the nutritional value of our food. Healthy soils will get Mother Nature back to health. Purpose is powerful. In our strong ecosystems pillar, we support pollinator health and habitat restoration. 35% of crop production relies on pollinators such as bees, birds, and butterflies. One of every 10 bites of food you take, 8 are in thanks to pollinators. That's why we've invested to plant more than 55,000 acres of pollinator habitat across North America. Purpose is powerful. In our hometown communities pillar, we invest in nonprofits and causes that are important to our employees. At General Mills, we are proud of the fact that 83% of our employees, folks like Katrina, serve as volunteers in their community. This is an incredible level of engagement, given the average corporate volunteerism rate is just 33%. Purpose is powerful. And here is the purpose that I am honored to serve every day at General Mills. The power of food. To feed a growing body, to nourish a curious mind, to satisfy a sweet craving, to create a new connection, to bring families and people together. At General Mills, we serve the world by making food people love. But that's not the only way we serve. We serve by harnessing the power of food for good. We believe that all children should be nourished and ready to learn at school. We believe that perfectly good food should go to feed hungry people, not landfills. We believe in sustainable agriculture for healthy soil and planet. We believe in protecting and increasing bee population. We believe in nurturing the smallholder farmers who grow our ingredients. We believe in caring for the communities where our employees live and work. That's the power of food. This is the power of General Mills. In closing, I want to encourage you to live by a sense of purpose. I have found mine in the many relationships with people and planet that are fostered at General Mills. And whether you are still searching or are certain of purpose's power in your life, remember the many people who, because of their purpose, invested in you. And do the same, all for the common good. Thank you. And I think I have a few minutes for questions. If there are any in the audience, I would certainly be happy to take them. Dr. Sullivan up front.
We have a microphone for you.
As you know, Mary Jane, we have a number of graduates in the audience today. And I know all are in their heart seeking their purpose, but it takes some time. Mm-hmm. Do you have any words of wisdom as they're starting out at ages 20 to 24 perhaps in seeking that purpose as to how to start that journey if they haven't already?
A couple of things. I would say I mentioned listening to that. I don't know if it's listening to your gut or your intuition, but that voice is there for a reason. And I think too often we tamper that and we don't listen because we're listening to external voices and we're doing what we think we should do. And should is a terrible word, and should is a terrible way to live your life. So I would listen and trust your intuition. And if we do that, you will change the world just by that small, simple act. The second piece that I would advise is, ladies, create your own board of directors. Find those women, find those champions for you that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can vent to when you had a really bad day at work, or when you've got an idea that you think is brilliant and you may need to hear that it's crazy. Those trusted colleagues will tell you the truth. And that's, I think, very important. I've gained a lot of great insights, and I think gleaned a lot of wisdom for my own board of directors.
Hi, thank you for your talk today. I was kind of wondering, similar to Dr. Sullivan's question, but what aspects of your St. Thomas education, be it in your undergrad or your MBA, do you think helped you the most throughout your career?
So a couple things for sure. I mentioned that I worked full-time while I was at St. Thomas. I spent a lot of time in the physical plant. Thank you, Monica Dobie-Hall, for helping me get that job. And that was a great help. I think having to balance school, work responsibilities, being at home to help get adults off of Metro Mobility, you have to prioritize really quickly. And I think that helped. I think just helped me to be more responsible and really helped develop my work ethic. I think the other piece that was such a gift to me were the professors that I had at St. Thomas who were willing to be more than just teachers and who would give me the time after class, who would come in on the weekends on campus and talk our groups through projects or help us think through problems that we were working through. Or even one of my marketing professors who had dinner with my mom and I remember Tom Burns, who we had dinner when we were talking about marketing opportunities. And the generosity of those individuals to go so far beyond what's required in their job was a beautiful gift, and it's something that's important to give back to others as well.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for your kind words this morning and joining us, and congrats on your promotion.
Thank you.
My name's Megan Hannon. I'm a grad of 2018, so a recent grad, looking to get into the foundation space as well. But I'd love to hear your outlook and kind of where you see foundation, and especially corporate foundations, moving in the future.
Sure. So a couple of things. I think a lot of corporate foundations are aligning their philanthropy with the issues that are core to their business. And I think what you're seeing and what we're seeing at General Mills is that society is shifting from relying on government to solve problems to relying on corporations to solve problems. So you saw when the US pulled out of the Paris Accord, our CEO was one that said, we're not leaving. We need to figure out climate change and we're going to stay and do our part. And so I would say that that's a significant piece. And from my standpoint, having the opportunity to work in sales to really understand the business, the products, the customers, business planning, gave me a very solid foundation for being able to go into the foundation to bring solutions forward. I think companies will continue to globalize their philanthropy, so being fluid and comfortable with cultures from all over the world. Sometimes for me, it's having a willingness to be up at 6 a.m. for a call with India and 10 p.m. at night for a call with Singapore. That's another piece that's very important, is being able to connect with people, and I think also having the courage to challenge the status quo. Because as I mentioned, we have less than 60 harvests left, and we can't solve tomorrow's problems with what we did yesterday. And I think not being afraid to bring forward and challenge what's happening today and bring forward solutions, I think is really powerful. And we can change this, we can reverse it. It's not too late, but it's going to take all of us to change our behaviors and for big companies to act differently. You're welcome.
We have a question over here.
Hello, my name is Amira. First, I want to say thank you for your talk and just your story was really cool. I'm also a president of the Black Empowerment Student Alliance, and so my question is, how has your identity as a woman of color affected your career path?
It's been very important to me, and I would say I've had a lot of positives, I've had a lot of negatives. I think I've had to prove myself in a number of instances because there were a lot of other male candidates going for jobs that I applied for in the past, and I remember when I got the foundation, somebody telling me that I got it because I was Hispanic and female, and I thought, I'll show you. And so that, I mean, for me, it just kind of fueled the fire. And I do think it's important to be, for me, it's helped me to realize how important it is to be a role model for others, because you need people that look like you so you can believe that you have a chance as well and that you have the right to be at the table. So it's been very important, and I think that another piece for me that's been really important is having a mom who believed in me. So when I was applying for the foundation and that manager told me that I was killing my career path and that I shouldn't apply, it was my mom who stayed up with me until 2 a.m. helping me to update my resume and do my job application. And so I'm here today because of her.
Hi, thank you so much for your talk today. It was very inspiring. My name's Ann Simonson, I'm a 95 graduate. I work in the nonprofit sector, and I didn't start there. I started in corporate environment, and I was so glad to hear that there's someone who is interested in going into that directly out of college, because I do feel that that is something that has traditionally been overlooked by many recent graduates, and I'm glad to hear that that is something that is being changed and is a trend that many graduates will look to as a potential career path coming out of college. So I'd like to ask you to maybe talk about what you have seen as maybe similarities and differences in working in a corporate environment, in a corporate role versus a philanthropy role, what you see as some similar and different in those two roles.
What I see as similar is actually a drive for purpose, and especially working at General Mills, I see so many purpose-driven nonprofit partners that we are so fortunate to work for and to learn from. What I also have learned in working in the foundation for the last 15 years is I think that companies are just starting to realize the value of the expertise within the nonprofit community, because individuals who are in nonprofits, I think, have to work much harder than in corporations. Because when I'm at work, if I have a problem with legal, something with legal or finance, I pick up the phone and call legal, or I call finance, or we've got all these resources at our fingertips, and that's not the case on the nonprofit side. And we actually just hired a woman at General Mills about 2 years ago that came from a nonprofit organization, and I was amazed and delighted by the depth of her skill set and what she brought to the foundation from her experience in working with a nonprofit. And she's actually teaching us how to be more resilient and resourceful, because we're still a small team in a very big company. But I think that she's been able to bring a very different perspective and also subject matter expertise that we didn't have. And I think that value being in community, working with children and families that were receiving the services of the nonprofit, is such a gift, and something that I think more foundations need to get closer to that, because it's easy to sit in your office and never leave, and all the work is happening in the community. And so that they, I think, have brought such wisdom and understanding of how to approach some of these things differently, and they're some of the most resilient employees I've seen. Well, with that, thank you so much for having me today. It's been my honor, and congratulations on your upcoming graduation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mary Jane, for your insights today and for everything that you have done for the University of St. Thomas as an alumna and as a role model for each and every one of us here today. Over the years, many generous women in this room and beyond have helped to start and support Women Connect Scholarship. This scholarship is awarded annually to students who demonstrate leadership abilities in the classroom and in the community. This year, we are proud to announce we have a record number of scholarship recipients benefiting from the Women Connect Scholarship. You can learn more about each of these amazing individuals by turning your attention to the screens now.
We are the recipients of the 2019 Women Connect Scholarship.
My name is Margaret Miller. I'm an exercise science major, a senior this year, and I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
My name is Jamie Gruber. I am part of the class of 2019. I'm an accounting major with sustainability minor, and I'm from Becker, Minnesota.
My name is Lydia Lockwood. My major is communications and journalism. I'm a senior, and I grew up in Bloomington, Minnesota.
My name is Sunita, and I study Justice and Peace Studies with a minor in American Culture and Difference here at St. Thomas. I'm a senior now, and I grew up in the Eagan-Apple Valley area in Minnesota.
My name is Ashley Borland, and I'm a senior and neuroscience major from Maple Grove, Minnesota.
My name is Abby Heller. I'm a neuroscience major in the class of 2019, and I grew up in Southington, Connecticut.
My name is Fatimata Jete, and I'm a senior majoring in biology of global health, and I grew up in St. Louis Park.
My name is Katie. I'm a senior psychology major with a minor in Justice and Peace Studies. I spent a majority of my childhood in Ham Lake, Minnesota.
After graduation, I will be working at Ernst & Young doing tax work, but ultimately I would like to move towards working with companies and sustainability.
I plan to invest full time on my nonprofit called For Mother to You, and is focused on maternal health in the Gambia.
I am extremely passionate about the immigrant and refugee crisis that's going on in America and around the world, so my career goals is to dedicate myself to that justice issue in any way that I can.
I'd like to become a healthcare professional specializing in obstetrics or infertility care.
My favorite thing about St. Thomas is the opportunities that are provided for the students. They really make the students feel like more than just a number here.
I love the community aspect of it. I feel like I'm always surrounded by a really great group of people.
My cousin Jessie, who is going to graduate school and advancing herself, as well as being a fantastic mother to all my younger second cousins, and is still active in her community.
My mom, who has been a constant example of selfless love, not only to myself, but for my 5 siblings and my dad.
My mom.
Definitely my mom.
My mom.
My mom.
My mom.
My mother.
Definitely my mom.
My mother is the most supportive person in my life. She is the co-founder of my nonprofit, and she has raised me to be the woman that I am today.
Receiving the Women Connect Scholarship allowed me the chance to study abroad in Chile for J-term, and for that I'm really grateful.
Receiving the Women Connect Scholarship meant that I could have the opportunity to go abroad. I was able to go to the UK this past January, and that's not something I ever thought I'd be able to do.
It was an amazing day to open up that letter and to see my name as a recipient. It's definitely a huge highlight.
Thanks to donors who support a scholarship like this one, women like myself can take ourselves more seriously.
Thank you for your generosity and your belief in all of us.
We are so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are so grateful. Thank you.
And I am excited to share that the recipients of the Women Connect Scholarship are here with us today. Can the recipients please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Such impressive women. We're fortunate that many students are afforded the opportunity to attend St. Thomas and then go out and become change makers for the common good. Thank you to all the women who have given to this scholarship this year. Many of you did so as you registered for this event. We are happy to announce that we have raised nearly $23,000 for the Women Connect Scholarship Fund through many different avenues this year. To the 2018 class of St. Thomas women, we express our heartfelt congratulations and welcome you as our newest alumnae. Please stay in touch by joining the St. Thomas Alumni Facebook and LinkedIn groups, and keep an eye on the alumni website for programs that will help you stay involved with St. Thomas. This concludes our program today. Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.